to the flag of the United States of America
of the United States of America,
and to the republic
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. That was terrible.
Actually,
Yeah,
it was
well, at least
wonderful.
we
It
didn't
was
have
just
Joe and
interesting
Rachel
timing.
doing it on speaker.
Okay. Okay,
It
roll call,
wasn't
Lori.
synchronized.
I'm on. The mayor and all alderpersons are present.
Thank you very much. We have before us a unanimous consent agenda. Just for Dennis to move forward. Do we have a second? Second by
Yes.
Doug. Doug, yes. Go ahead,
Motion by
Lori.
alderperson Hagee, seconded by alderperson Carroll, approving the common council minutes of April 14th and April 21st, 2020, and accepting the proposal from Performance Roofing Incorporated of Richfield for the roof replacement of the wastewater treatment plant's administrative building at a cost not to exceed $65,987.
Okay, for the unanimous consent agenda, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? If you do have anything, please raise your hand right by your face so I would be able to see it. Wayne.
Good news is it came in $4,000 under budget. We had budgeted 70,000 in CIP, and it comes in at roughly 66. So that's good news.
Yes, it is. That's great news. I know where we can put that money. We'll be talking about that in a minute.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
no. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Next, Lori, are you going to be handling the date for the Common Council group photo? I'll want one with and without masks if we can do that.
Yep, I have two things. Starting with May 26th, the Common Council meeting will resume being in person in the Common Council chambers. All attending will be set up 6 feet apart to meet social distancing practices. And then number two is to have a discussion for the date for the Common Council group photo. Looking for suggestions for the date.
After I get my hair cut.
Wait,
Enough.
guys, please, you just raise your hand. Steve, I saw you first.
I actually have something before that.
Okay, we can barely hear you, Steve.
Oh,
Thank you.
the reason I wanted to bring it up is the fact of regarding the first communications that, again, anybody that we're also offering individuals who would like to wear a mask. We will have masks available to you, but if you like to wear your own, bring your own, please do so. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other than suggestions? Just raise your hand for the Common Council group photo. Rachel.
After the salons open, haircut places.
Okay, that's fine.
It's true.
I understand. Alderperson Turchi.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Okay. Alderperson Kohler.
Now, I agree with you there because I got an offer already tonight to have their wife come over and cut my hair. So apparently they don't like my new style. So,
Okay. Wayne, did you have anything?
Why don't we wait
Wayne?
till the end of June? How's that? The last meeting in June. Not the last meeting, but our, fourth meeting in
June
June.
20
How's that?
June 23rd.
Is that what it is? Okay,
Works for me.
sure.
Thumbs up from Jeff.
So again, as in the past, again, if you're going to have your picture taken, please make sure you are addressed appropriately.
Thank you. All righty. Next item is the mayor's report. First item is the mayoral appointment of Richard Farrer to the Police and Fire Commission. He has served dutifully since then. I have talked to him personally and would look for a motion to approve him to continue to serve. We have Alderperson Mixon, seconded by Alderperson Kohler.
Motion by Alderperson Mixon, seconded by Alderperson Kohler, approving the mayoral appointment of Richard Fair to the Police and Fire Commission.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Next is an interesting item. This is the feedback on the rollout report authored by the city administrator in cooperation with the emergency management team and local health officials. We, of course, on April 21st, passed a unanimous recommendation for the city attorney, excuse me, the city administrator, Steve Volker, to work in concert with his department heads to come up with a plan. And I'm sure that some of you have gotten feedback. I've gotten a mountain of it. I want the note really to put forward that we did not, before or after this, put out a press release. We were looking to serve our community. We weren't looking to be somebody trying to make this big statement that's going to sweep across the fruited plain. But we did what we believed was the best for our community. Well thought out, and I think extraordinarily well done, and was done courageously from all the people here. So thank you very much for that. That means a lot to me and to a lot of the citizens. But I did receive a lot of different feedback, let me put it that way. Steve Volker can vouch that we've been running at about 80-20 positive. So in what we're looking at, but I wanted to give you a small sample of what we have. And I'm going to start with somebody who was not necessarily in favor of this, but actually was one of those who, did not use any foul language, did not wish COVID-19 on me or my family, like happened, did not use profanity. This was one of the more measured responses, and I appreciate that. Again, about 80-20 positive, but there was some real virulence in some of the negatives. So also a lot of them from out of town, which was interesting that were coming at us. And there's a reason, and I'll get into that with the comment here and response.
That'd be out of city,
April 27th.
Tim.
Mr. Mayor, my husband and I saw a story. I'm sorry. Did you have a comment, anybody? No.
That would be out of city, not out of town.
Mr. Mayor, my husband and I saw a story on. Cute. Mr. Mayor, third time, please raise your hand if you have a comment. Mr. Mayor, my husband and I saw a story on WISN that you were allowing the opening of businesses in Hartford in defiance of the state safer at home order from the governor. The story also said that our Hartford Police Department will not be enforcing the order. We're really hoping we heard this story incorrectly. We realize that the non-essential businesses in our community are suffering due to the closure. We also realize that people who have contracted COVID-19 are suffering ending. Do you have no regard for the health and safety of our citizens? We have been very compliant with the safer at home order, as have our family, neighbors, and friends. Please don't listen to the Republican legislative leaders and protesters of our state who claim it's perfectly safe to go out about our lives as usual. Listen to the scientists and doctors instead. Please don't undermine our police department. Please reconsider your defiant statement and keep Hartford residents safer at home. We would appreciate a response to this email. Sincerely. My response, dated April 27th, the same day they sent theirs. Hi, and the husband and wife's name. I appreciate you exercising your right to express your feelings regarding the actions taken by the Hartford City Council, a right I defended as an Air Force officer and that 4 of our children currently defend in the Wisconsin Army National Guard and Army Reserves. Most comments expressing disapproval were generated from misreporting by WISN TV Channel 12. They used a very misleading headline using incorrect information after we provided them with 20+ minutes in an interview discussing exactly what we were going to do. We never said that all businesses would open today, meaning April 27th. We told them we would be submitting a plan today for the possible reopening of businesses that would agree to follow the CDC guidelines set for essential businesses. Please read the plan available on the city website, and I provide the direct URL. Note the last paragraph on page 2 labeled recommendation. I believe you will have a better understanding of what we are looking to accomplish. You are also welcome to view the YouTube video of the April 21st Hartford City Council meeting, and I provided the direct URL. The relevant discussion begins at the 32.33 timeline stamp. This will provide you with the discussion that preceded the 9-0 Common Council vote on moving forward to develop a plan, not a vote, to arbitrarily open all city businesses. Our current count of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the 53027 zip code, which includes well more than the city of Hartford, as of today, right now, I'll update, stands at 16. We know that as testing increases, the confirmed case number will increase, as up to 90% of people who get the virus will be asymptomatic or experience symptoms similar to a cold. Individuals who are currently tested must, with rare exception, be sick and must qualify from a criteria list of symptoms and possible exposures. The remainder will have flu-like symptoms, with a minority of that group possibly going to the hospital. Some may need oxygen, but few will need a ventilator. The most accurate numbers to watch are the hospitalizations and ICU admissions. There are currently no cases that are hospitalized in Hartford. Suicide prevention hotline calls are up 800%. With oil dropping to less than $0 a barrel, we are facing the real possibility of a depression, which will have a much more detrimental and long-lasting effect than the virus we are currently dealing with. This is no either or. We can do both. All the best. That was my response from their request for a response. Now I wanted to give you some of the positive. We had a lot of them. Some of them were very short. Some were quite lengthy. Some just said thank you with a smiley face and a couple of exclamation points, but I'll give you an idea here. Dated April 24th, Mayor Mahalik, I am not very big on writing to elected officials, so this is out of the norm for me. I heard you are planning opening things up a little more on April 1st. I fully support this decision. As a community resident, I just wanted to give you a thank you. This is very much appreciated, as many people are starting to struggle with job losses. Let's start getting back to normal. We love Hartford and its residents. Thank you for your time and service. Dated April 24th. I am not sure what kind of feedback you are getting for standing up for business and all of our rights. I want to make sure that you understand that yesterday and today, more than most, I am proud to say I live in Hartford. I had many coworkers tell me this morning how they wish their communities would do the same. Please don't back down, exclamation point. I am still lucky to be working and want to make sure to spend my stimulus check at all the Hartford businesses. Thanks for standing up for us, exclamation point. April 24th. Good day, Mayor. I wanted to send you a quick note of support on allowing businesses to reopen, with the obvious message we all need to continue to take the multitude of precautions to reduce the risk of transmission. I am a healthcare provider and understand the need to take this virus and intervention seriously, but I also understand our personal freedom is paramount. Our community certainly can make informed choices and take special precautions. Thank you again for your balancing the risk and benefit by making such a decision, siding with individual freedom and allowing businesses to begin operations again with special interventions. I am sure a great deal of consideration and thought went into this. I look forward to being back in Hartford next week. And this is signed Doctor and his name and phone number. So wanted to let you know that one here. Okay. Here's one. This one's a little bit longer. Hello, Mayor Mahalik. These may be dark times. I do not plan on dying from this or any virus, and will do what I believe will keep my family safe, but I cannot live in fear. If we Americans can sift through the various information out there, I believe any logical person could come to an informed decision that the data is not accurate. Hopefully we Americans can learn from this and come through this stronger than ever. But it starts with leaders willing to take a stance, people who are not afraid to veer from the pack and share their voices. I watched the live Common Council meeting this week and just wanted to thank you and the Common Council members for taking such a bold stance. You veered from the pack. Some will applaud you and others will condemn you. Regardless, our community is in peril and your actions will hopefully help our community in the long term. But it doesn't change the fact that many of our local businesses still currently fear the consequences of opening early. Think about that. We have American businesses that are in fear of public repercussions to simply conduct business, their lifeblood. It is truly a shame. I would have never thought something like this could happen in our community, but it has. Please do everything you can to encourage, support, and assure our local businesses that are afraid to be brave and veer from the pack. Our community will be stronger for that. I sincerely appreciate your efforts to help the people of Hartford, exclamation point, respectively. There's another one, April 25th. Dear Mayor Mahalik, I am proud to be a Hartford citizen. You stood up for our constitutional rights and led with a proud countenance. I believe we, the people, have to take responsibility for our actions. In today's world, we have more communication than ever before. If we lay out safety guidelines, I have no doubt most businesses will be willing to comply, and those who do not will likely find their business practices shared on social media and begin to lose customers. I support you! Exclamation point. Keep up the great work protecting your people within the powers of government. Sincerely. Just a couple more here. April 26th. Thank you, underlined bold, for all your leadership this past week in regards to our small businesses in town. Yes, I know they said town. I know it's a city. We are very proud to say that we live in the city of Hartford. The leadership displayed will help many other communities to open back up too. Okay, what's next? What do we need to do to get the caution tape removed from the city's playground equipment? We need to encourage our children to get back outside and play. Let us know what we can do to help. So that request goes to Steve Volkert. Okay, last one here. Good morning, Tim. Congratulations on allowing businesses to reopen at their discretion. I think that's a great policy, and I'm glad you and your team have the courage to take that stand. Hopefully, more municipalities will follow. Interestingly enough, that was from a town supervisor outside of Washington County. I have a number more of these from out of town from other elected officials. So I just wanted to make sure that all of you were aware that it is overwhelmingly positive. There are some negatives, and we knew that would happen. But there are a lot of people in this city, this county, in this state, and I even have some from out of state, that are thankful that the stance you took in the 9-0 vote that we did moving forward, allowing Steve and his team to really take the First Amendment to the Constitution seriously, and that is the freedom of assembly, and not taking a binary choice of it's either safety, lives, or business money. That I don't believe is true, and I think your vote echoes that belief and allows us to move forward as a community. Again, we did not do this in any way to aggrandize ourselves. No press release, no nothing. These are spontaneous responses just from the minutes and the news that ended up going all the way to Fox Business, that you know, the city of Hartford was recognized as being a city that is going to do the best for its citizens, and I thank you for that. So I don't know if anybody had any comments, questions regarding that, or if anybody wanted to share something that they may have received from a constituent that I didn't happen to see because they sent it directly to you. I'm taking anybody. I don't know anybody leaning forward or putting their hand up or anything. Okay. Oh, Rachel, please.
Yes, I was going to wait for aldermanic requests, but to add mine, I don't have any to read, but I received a significant number of emails, and one was negative and 12 or 13 were positive. And they were especially happy. And I had probably 4 or 5 phone calls, maybe a few more, but people were just wanting to express gratitude. It was just a relief. That was the overwhelming theme to the phone calls and letters that I received. And I received more than I normally get for anything. So.
And I know you get a lot of them on the 3rd district issues. So thank you.
I do.
Okay. With that, we will be going to the next item, which is discussion and consideration regarding fireworks on the 4th of July. Did want to touch base on this, and I've discussed this more than once now with Steve Volkert, our city administrator, as well as Scott Henke, who is the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. And we think that we've come up with a plan. Of course, we want to forestall having a huge gathering, and our fireworks have traditionally been a huge gathering. And what I'm looking for is twofold. One is that you would be in support of moving forward with the fireworks. Number 2 is listening to the plan and seeing what you think about this. One of the big gathering points of our fireworks is we have a large ground display as well as an aerial display. What we would do is eliminate the ground display. The very simple reason is because now people do not have a reason to specifically go to was at Ginmar Field in order to be able to watch the fireworks, that there's going to be nothing on the ground that they would miss. We would take the extra funds, hopefully if there are some, and actually push them up into the air. And if you're going to watch fireworks like that, you don't want to be sitting right underneath them. It actually is more fun on those if you're a little bit away from them, and you can see the full extent of what they do and how they explode and fill the sky with color. So that would be one thing. So we would eliminate a big draw for having it in one place. The second thing is that if for those people who would want to, who might be in the close area and want to go there, what we would do is take the marker, we have markers that would actually spray the grass and put a dot every 15 to 20 feet apart. So you could spread a couple of blankets, your little family of 10 could sit in one spot, and then those areas would be separate. And once those filled up, we would tell people they would have to be in their car or whatever. So we could do the whole social distancing thing. The third is that we would also then have the option of going to some other spots that would then have an officer there. And that would be something like Independence Park would be one. We would look at the possibility of Lincoln and Central, all of which would have a great viewing of the aerial fireworks, which would be the only fireworks that we're doing. I can see I'm quite a bit away up on Abbott Avenue on the north side of town, and we just go to our top floor and watch out, and we have for some time. You can see the fireworks way from my house. So a good deal of the city would be able to just go out and watch them, and this is really what we would be encouraging. So the thing is, of course, now with all of these businesses shut down, a lot of the people who would normally contribute to this is we only have about $1,000, and we'd like to have $8,000 to $10,000 for a show. We have in the past, and our historian, Alderperson Heggie, can let you know, we have previously funded the fireworks, and of course with budgetary constraints, we have obviously pushed that the community would support that, and they have thus far. Sometimes it was a close call, but we always had fireworks. We have I think about a $6 million general fund, correct, Steve? Am I correct in that? It's anywhere between 5.6 and $6 million.
I believe it's around the 5.5 mark.
Okay. Please know that obviously this is going to be taxed because of the fact that we are running in a deficit right now and expect that deficit to continue, especially considering with Park and Rec, we're not getting anywhere near the revenue of that. So there would be some drawdown on that, but it would be not something that would decimate us. If there ever is a time that we would use that fund to do something that the community desperately needs, it would be now. That's what the fund is for. And I would encourage you, and I'm looking at to top it off at $5,000, obviously not a great deal of money, but we are going to continue, and I'll be working with Scott Hankey to raise funds to have the fireworks. But if we are short, in order to put on a decent display, we would put up to $5,000 of that fund into having the fireworks in a year that, if there ever was a year that we needed fireworks in this community to celebrate the many blessings that we have, because we still have many blessings, it is this July 4th. I think it's critical, my personal opinion. Also, when you're looking at the fact that we're going to continue putting dollars out, we will have, hey, if somebody wants to come up with $5,000 and have naming rights, and we will brag their business up and down the street, and let them know and put it on the news and the radio and everything that we can, and is looking for something to do for the community. This would be a phenomenal opportunity to step forward and fund the fireworks. But if we don't get the amount we want, and again, we're looking at anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000 if we can to put on a super show, then that would be something that could be done. I'm not asking for the city to fund the whole thing, but we have $1,000 we could put on an okay show for 6. That would be small. We would like a little bit more, but I just want to find out if there is an appetite from the Common Council to move forward and okay up to $5,000, depending on what the dollar amount is raised, to move forward with this. And I'll answer any questions, but if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, Dennis, I think you were the first one to put a finger up here.
Yes. You asked my thoughts on it. Well, as I recall, the city paid for the fireworks up until about 2004, and I believe the amount that was funded was $5,000 at that time. So it's been privately funded ever since that time. And if we were to put some funding into it, I would strongly suggest that it's a one-time thing.
Yes, I don't disagree with that at all. Rachel.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like this idea. I was going to stress it's a one-time thing also, but I think this is kind of a big deal. We, not so much as putting our money where our mouth is when we say this is what we want for our city, but we have to get out, and we have to be a city, and we have to have morale. And this is one of the ways to do that. And people are looking to us to make a move and to do something. Look at all the letters we've gotten in response to what we first did. So I am for this.
Thank you. Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great idea. I like the way you can have it as a no ground display, see it from your house. I think I have a hill in front of my house that might block it, but I could always find another place. I do agree with locking in the $5,000 as a one-time good deal proposal. But one thing I'd like to really mention is, okay, for the city of Hartford, yeah, we can get the word out, so on and so forth. But we're going to have to really consider the surrounding communities, who are not having fireworks. People may be coming our way, coming over, so on and so forth. Because we all don't sit, maybe we can sit from our house and stuff like that, less of a Hartford residents. We just got to consider some of the people coming from out of town, so they understand what we're asking when it comes down to we're doing it, but we're doing it safe. We're following the guidelines, and we want people, again, it's a choice. If you don't want to leave your house, you don't have to, and you don't have to watch the fireworks. But if you do it right, do it smart, and we're leaving it up to you to make that decision. And all we ask is people who come visit and view our fireworks, which I'm hoping there's quite a few, that they do the same and they follow by the rules.
Excellent point. Do know that one of the things that we're looking at doing to address that very thing, Joe, is in the communities in Washington County, we're encouraging them to please all have it on the 4th of July. If everybody has theirs, and I think it's Germantown who always had it on the day before. It's like, why? The 4th of July is a Saturday. I mean, it's a perfect time. So if we all do it on the same day, we have less chance of communities that will be doing 4th of July fireworks to be coming to Hartford to see them because they can stay in their own community.
Well, Milwaukee canceled theirs already, so there's another,
Mm-hmm.
Another big grouping. So, but again, I'm in favor. Just we got to make sure that the word gets out that there's a social distancing and what we expect of the audience. I don't mind sharing. I just want people to share responsibly.
Correct. Wayne.
Other slogans.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm done. I totally support what's just been said by everybody. My family's been involved in 4th of July fireworks, both financially and physically. And I hope you keep it down on the football field. There's a huge area from Cedar Street to Monroe. We park in the high school parking lot.
Right.
We put lawn chairs out on the lawn. There's social distancing that's been going on for 10 years out there because it's family groups and it's couples and everybody is separated because they're in their own little niche and corner. And there's oodles of room on that front lawn of the high school, parking in the parking lot. Half the people stay in the parking lot, half the people like us go out on the front lawn. There's a lot of room out there. So I hope you can keep it down on the football field because it's just, you can go all the way down to the swimming pool, you can go to Lincoln School. There's so much area there to view the fireworks that it's just an ideal spot. And I don't know where else. Independence Park wouldn't cut it. That's just not the place. Woodlawn Park wouldn't cut it, I don't think. So I totally support what's been said, the $5,000. This community, with everything we've been through, we deserve 4th of July fireworks. So let's do it.
Yes.
And let's get a group together that can figure out how to do it financially and physically.
I like it. Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns? If not, what I would be looking for is a motion to allow the, oh, go ahead, Joe, Fulham.
I was just making the motion to go.
Oh, okay, well, let me finish what I need to hear go, is to look at the motion of allowing the city administrator in concert with the executive director of the Hartford Chamber to get no more than $5,000 in a one-time a fee transfer to support the fireworks in the city of Hartford, and with the understanding that that would be a maximum. So if we can raise the $10,000 that we'd be looking at, or have somebody underwrite more of it, that it would be less. So please understand, we'd be looking at a maximum of 5,000, and hopefully it would be less depending. And I would also encourage anybody who'd be watching this or how it's being reported, that if you care to contribute personally for the fireworks in the city of Hartford, given all the things that we're going through in the city, and you want to be a part of that, please go to the Chamber of Commerce office right on Highway 60 and tap on the door, and either Scott, Henke, or Jennifer will answer that and be happy to take any donation for these fireworks, that we want to put on here on the 4th of July. So I don't know, Lori, if you got all that. But, and Joe Fulop, you're making a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have Joe Fulop approving with Rachel seconding. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Super. We have a unanimous vote. Please make record of that. That's wonderful. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate that. I think it's a great move. Okay, now we have aldermanic requests. President Heggie.
Just to report that the remainder of the Mid-Moraine legislative season and any other events associated with Mid-Moraine have been canceled for the remainder, which basically is only till the end of this month. It doesn't resume again until September.
Okay. Thank you very much. Alderperson Rusniak.
One request, when, I'm hearing this from a lot of constituents, when do we foresee opening the Hartford Aquatic Water Center? Is there a target date on the water center, or what's happening there? Mayor, Steve?
Excellent question. I will take that and refer it to our city administrator. He and I have both been discussing this. Steve.
Yeah, right now we are in the process of finishing the painting, the crack filling, the joint filling of the aquatic center. We are anticipating having that done the last week of May. We will then have 1 week of maintenance and construction projects that have to take place after the painting is done. And then we'll be filling the pool the first week in June, training the second week in June, and then opening the 15th of June if all goes as planned.
And what day is that?
And I'd like to add on to that, Wayne. Please understand that the city, and we'll be talking about this coming up at a second meeting in the month. The city doing so understands that if the requirement that is set forward by the health departments or whoever decides to take over this new order, whatever that new order is going to be, if it's a county, if it's the federal government, if it's a state, early indications are they're going to require a very small amount of individuals in the pool at one time, upwards of 1/8 of our capacity. 1/8 of our capacity would be 150 people. Our average throughout the year is about 450 people, and that's considering really bad days and great days. So if the maximum we can put in the pool at one time is 150, we are going to lose our shirt. I've talked to the mayor about this, and we will talk more about it when we get some more hard numbers as our expectations. The problem is we don't know what that number is. Right now, we're told 150. And so with 150, we're going to have to shut down sections of the pool. We cannot have a full staff pool for only 150 people. So it's going to be changed. They're going to have to, sit far apart. They're going to have to, what we do at the concession stand will be changed. How we handle people coming in. If we can only have 150 people in, we might have to have reservations to be able to use the pool. We're looking at possibly doing shift work. So you could come between open swim from noon to 3 or 4 to 7. So, I mean, those are just some of the ideas we're putting out there. Please understand that an awful lot of pools have already closed for the season because of the fact that they didn't want to lose as much money as we could be up for losing. So again, we're doing everything we can. We're doing a lot of research on what possibly could happen. So again, that's where we're at right now.
Very good. Thank you.
A lot of questions that would need to be answered, and I know Steve and Mike are putting a lot
Certainly.
of work into this. Please know that if there is a real cost to, I mean, obviously it might very well be cheaper for us to keep it closed rather than opening it at a vastly lower number because of the revenue it would generate. And this would be something where we would come to the Common Council and look if you're willing to spend that money. I certainly hope we would. I would also enter that in as much as I would like to be able to serve as much as I can. Steve brings up an excellent point in that if we're the only one with an open pool and willing to take on the hit, then there would be a very real possibility we would limit it to city residents. So these are just some of the things that we would have to think about. Obviously, I'm not opening this for discussion. I just want to push that out there because these are some of the items that we would be looking at dealing with most likely at our next city council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, Wayne, you got anything else?
Nope.
Alderperson Carroll.
Yes, I'm talking about the pool. I have some concerns about the coatings that were put on the pool and the pour in place rubberized base that goes below the new playground structure. They worked on these when the temperatures were well below 50 degrees, and I would like to see proof that they can be applied at colder temperatures, because long range, I think we're going to potentially have something fail there. And I'd like someone to look into that and give us a report back on that before the bill is paid on that. I'm very concerned about it. The one night that they did the pour in place, I think it got down into the 30s.
Correct.
That's it, Mayor.
Steve, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, Doug, I did get you did reach out to me. I did check with the gentleman who's handling that. The actual epoxy in which he put on there actually does better when it's below 40 degrees. It cures very slowly. It does not allow for micro bubbling. Micro bubbling will eventually cause cracks and peeling. And so that particular night, he had to have 4 hours. It takes 4 hours to cure in a cooler temperature. And so he had actually about 6 hours, and the temperature was between 35 and 45 during that period of time. So he actually liked the idea of having it that day with the colder temperatures. The other part, the poured in play was doing really well until someone stepped in it. And so Doug, I'm checking, I'd like to check the size of your shoe, because we still have that in the poured in play.
It wasn't me, I can guarantee that.
It was only one footprint too, so they obviously stepped in it. They jumped the fence, stepped in it, realized that it was still wet, and turned around. So
Incredible. Is that it, Doug?
Yes, that's it, Mayor.
Okay, Alderperson Mixon.
I spoke earlier. I'm set. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Alderperson Garza.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Alderperson Sakura.
Nothing from you, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderperson Kohler, excuse me.
Yep, nothing for me tonight.
Alderperson Fulop.
Nothing for me, Mayor, thank you.
Alderperson Turchi.
I just want to say I applaud you for the idea of the 4th of July fireworks. It's a great
Thank you.
idea.
I appreciate that. Okay, we're up to item number 9, resolutions and possible action thereon. Resolution 3568, a resolution adopting 2020 Statement of Project Intentions for the Hartford Municipal Airport's 6-year improvement plan. We do have an executive summary attached and have our airport director, Daryl Krantz, on the phone there. I'm assuming you are taking this, correct, Daryl?
Again, yes, I am. You can hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
It's part of a resolution again that we have to do this every 2 years. It's a lot like what we do for council meetings. We got to have a 5-year plan for the city. The state asks for a 6-year plan, and they want to make sure that this is all approved by council every 2 years. We really didn't add anything new on here, as our checklist on this is starting to get done pretty good. The runway, the taxiway, the apron is going out for bid here May 21st. So it does look like the apron reconstruction will get done yet this year. They've had a lot of people take out plans for this because I think a lot of bigger projects are being pulled off the table because of the coronavirus disease. So it's good. I think with the more people taking out plans, we're going to be looking good. But again, we're just looking for the okay, approval by council for a 6-year outlook on the statement.
Super, thank you. The one concern, and I've been walking the airport, I think you know that people have probably been telling you at least on a weekly basis, talking to hangar owners, plane owners, and the biggest concern there is, as far as that I'm hearing, is the grass runway and apparently the landscaping that has or has not been done or has been done incorrectly. What are we looking at doing about that, Daryl?
Believe me, all winter long, I voiced my concern very much. Peterson and Sons were in the last week, and it's just about a finished project. They've done a very nice job now going over everything a second time. Now we need some rain. The grass runway's been rolled, reseeded. It's been the green mulch put down on top to protect it. We're looking good. I'm actually excited with what they all did here because they went over everything. So it's looking good. That was a big concern. They held money back from the landscaper that did the work last year, and they did it themselves this spring and redid it. So we're done with that. We're caught up.
Good, thank you. Okay, I'm anxious to get out there with you, take a peek. I appreciate that. Thank you, Wayne.
With all these improvements, Daryl, refresh our memory. When is the new terminal building scheduled? 21, 22, 23? When are we proposing that?
With all the projects we've done lately, every year we get $150,000 of, you want to call it entitlement money. We've actually borrowed some entitlement money this year from a couple other airports to do our project to keep us going to get us done. We will not have any entitlement monies for the next year for sure, or next year, I should say. So again, I'm probably looking at designing in about a year or two, and then probably to 3 to 4 years out, a terminal building. I call it a weathermation building, because by that time, again, we can save up 3 years of our money, and that would be $450,000 on if we get our entitlement money, $150 a year. And then our share cost would be 5% yet, but we own the hangar where this would be built. So by owning that, that would be our 5% share. So if it's if the value of the building is $330,000 for that hangar, we'll have our share of the money for a new weathermation building. So no, we're looking good, but we're looking at 4 years out for sure, maybe even 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
We've done pretty good with the last 2 years of land acquisition, runway, taxiway, and now the apron. We're up to $8 million price tag, and we're weathering it really well. There's been a lot of discretionary money that's been put into the airport, which is really good. The council has been really good with our 5% share, but the prices have also came in a lot less than what we had anticipated also. This CARES Act this year, I talked to Tim and Steve about it. Our 5% this year on $1 million project would be $50,000. it's looking really good. Like this CARES Act might pay towards 30,000 of that this year. So we're doing good. I'm real excited about this year coming up and getting actually all the pavement done totally.
What about revenue? Is revenue up or down on weekends? Is there weekend activity increased or decreased because of the virus?
It's nobody's really flying in or out right now. There's nowhere to go. We still have the hobbyists that go out and they'll fly around for an hour or two and come back, land. We still have them. I do have a lot more land rental this year. So with that, that's up because they're finishing the projects, renting out the land. I'm looking at converting some more of the old runway into some crop lands for next year so we could rent that out. But again, our revenues are going to be up because we have more rental for properties. And that was at the 2 council meetings ago where you okayed out, where you went to the unanimous consent agenda on those. So we're doing
Very
all right.
good. Thank you. Thank you.
Super. Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to adopt the Hartford Municipal Airport 6-year improvement plan. We have Dennis.
No, I've got a question.
Oh, you have a question. Okay, Dennis.
On the apron, approximately how long of a project is that going to be once it's started on? How long to complete?
The contractors that have been meeting out there and looking at it, they think they can have it done in a 3-week period. Again, weather. The grinding, replacing some stone and re-asphalting it. They're looking at, they think they can do it in 3, but the state's giving them 4 weeks to get the project done. We will look at making sure that we're looking at making sure we're still going to be able to sell fuel during that period somehow, some way, some shape, some form. But again, now with the EA being canceled up there in Oshkosh, I guess any time is good to get it done, especially with this going on this year. The other thing I still want to throw out at all the aldermen, anytime you'd like a tour of the airport, please give me a call. I'll be more glad to meet you down here and take you out there and show you the whole airport of what we going on. It's looking really nice, and it's a nice airport. We are the 2nd largest general aviation airport in Wisconsin, and they're still busy. We're still flying. The Cub schooling out there and everything else is still going on.
Super.
Well, along with that, then I'll make that motion.
Okay, Dennis, to move forward. We have a second by Alderperson Fulop. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Next, resolution 3570, which is consideration of an initial resolution regarding industrial development revenue bond financing for Trade Tech Inc. Project information with respect to the job impact of the project will be available at the time of consideration of the initial resolution. Steve, you are staff, the only staff member here, so I'm assuming that you are taking this. Or except for Jason. I'm sorry. Jason, is this something you're doing, or did you just stay here because you were fascinated by our meeting?
He wanted to show off his new curtains.
No, he's got parking.
Okay, you taking this, Jason?
Next. No, I'm not on this
Yes,
one.
parking next.
Oh, great. Okay, Steve, are you on this one?
Hold on 1 second, please.
Time's up.
That's cold.
Give me just 2 seconds here. I'm trying to, my computer just blocked out, so I'm trying to get it back up.
Okay. We could table this if you'd like and just take it on the next meeting if that works for you. I don't know what the timing is on this issue.
Oh, hold on. Now I got it. I'm just getting to it on the packet. Okay, so there's something basically that businesses can get into, which is called an industrial development revenue bond. And again, the petition had come forward by Trade Tech regarding a future development and expansion. This is, again, one of the avenues in which they can get funding for this. However, to do so, they have to get it approved by the council to start the ball rolling. And so anyways, you have the initial resolution. This, again, is just the first start to this whole thing. And then they have to go through other procedures. But anyways, you have that resolution in front of you, the 3570, regarding what this is all about. Again, it's estimated at $6.5 million, the cost of the project. And again, they are looking to utilize these industrial revenue bonds.
Now, my understanding of this is, I mean, they're taking on the risk, they're taking on the bonds, but they're using the city in order to make sure that they get the lowest rate possible. So we're actually issuing the bonds, but the bond, or not issuing, but procuring the bonds, but they're using us, but they're taking the risk. So we're helping them out. Obviously, very important during this time of the virus. There's not a lot of things going on. So any business that is looking for our help to expand in the city of Hartford, obviously we're very appreciative of that, but this is virtually no risk to the city. This is, if you will, something that we're doing to support expansion of business within the city of Hartford.
Correct. And again, I believe this went through the Planning
Commission unanimously, correct. So any questions, comments regarding this, Dennis?
Yes, we've done this in the past.
Yep.
I don't know how many years it's been since we've issued industrial revenue bonds, but it was something that was used quite frequently when TID 4 was being developed, etc. So it's not something that's unusual. It's just we haven't done it as much in recent years.
Wayne, did you have something?
Well, I was just going to follow up on Dennis. Yeah, we have done this before. Who actually sells these bonds? I mean, there's investors buy them, but who's selling these bonds?
Steve?
Steve, you know?
I believe it's our financial institution.
Their financial institution?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're responsible for it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? If not, we would be looking for a motion to move ahead with resolution 3570.
Move to approve.
Move to approve, Rachel. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dennis. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Somebody has to answer their phone. Okay. Next, actually, the last item we have under ordinances, this is the first reading, so we can move to go ahead with it if we choose. So this is ordinance number 1419, an ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 340 Schedule F, limited parking zones. And Jason, finally, you being in the middle of our Brady Bunch group, you are on.
Yeah, so Chapter 340, Schedule F, contains all the hourly parking restrictions in the city of Hartford. City administrator had proposed some limited term parking in the spaces immediately behind City Hall to better provide parking for residents with business at City Hall. After reviewing Schedule F as it's currently written, it was clear that there are several issues which have accumulated in the section over the last 20 plus years. One, there's multiple parking zones that have been created over the years that are no longer organized within the code. The parking zones, which are no longer of use by the city or adjacent properties. And then also we've got some outdated legal descriptions due to the parking lot and right-of-way changes. To address these issues, city attorney, city engineer, and the director of public works work together to reorganize, consolidate, and correct that Schedule F. The proposed ordinance streamlines the parking zones by eliminating unused parking categories and consolidating some parking zones where possible. All the legal descriptions for the parking areas have been reviewed and corrected as well, so that everything is up to date. There was also a map attached. I'll see if I can bring that up here. So we've got the
Always
map
fun
here.
when technology works.
Yes. So most of these parking areas are in the downtown area, along Main Street, some of the side streets, and then the parking lots. So the only I mean, the new one that was proposed was this green area here behind City Hall, which would now be a 90-minute parking. And then the other major change was that the new parking lot over here along Mill Street has now been added, and it'll be a 4-hour parking. And then, like I said, there's just some other minor changes. There were a couple of stalls in this parking lot here that we removed as 30-minute parking. But otherwise, it's all basically the same as it was. It's just, like I said, reorganizing it. We did get an email from the bid. They're going to be meeting this week, and they're claiming they might have some thoughts on the parking downtown. Basically, what I told them is parking ordinances, they get reviewed quite often. So if they have any suggestions, they should let me know what they are, and then we can possibly take that to a future Public Works meeting. But I don't think that necessarily needs to hold up the passage of this Schedule F reorganization at this point, because again, we've got it set up now where they come in with some new recommendations or suggestions, and the Public Works wants to approve it. It's easy enough to just add into this new Schedule F. Otherwise, this was reviewed at the Public Works Committee, and it was unanimously recommended to go to Council for approval. There is a cost for the signage that would have to be updated. I don't anticipate that to be any more than $1,000.
Okay, Steve, did you have a question?
No, just
Or
a comment is the fact that, again, one of the biggest complaints we get from residents is the fact that there's no parking behind City Hall for just coming in, paying your bill, coming in, voting, coming in, whatever they're doing in City Hall. One of the big ones is obviously for court. So anyways, behind City Hall, those spots, it's only like 10 spots, would be reserved for 90-minute parking. I bring that up again to remind everyone, because if you're coming to City Hall for a meeting or whatever, it's going to last more than 2 hours during business hours of 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So if it's beyond that, it's not a problem, no issues. But if it's during the normal business hours, we ask if you're going to be here for more than 90 minutes, park outside of those areas so that, again, residents who are here for short-term business can get in and out.
Super. Okay. So pretty much some, what I would say, thorough house cleaning in what you're doing and updating. Alderperson Mixon.
Yes, I just want to speak on behalf of the Public Works Committee. This went through and was hashed out at the Public Works Committee, and we talked about all the tweaks we had made to the parking over the years. And this really cleans it up and puts everything into a category, and it's a good thing. And it, like I think Jason said, it passed unanimously and we were for it.
Super. Okay, Alderperson Heggie.
Yes, question for Jason. This has nothing to do with the changes proposed over at the high school as far as parking restrictions. And that would be forthcoming at a future date. So if there are some things coming from the chamber or the bid or whatever, maybe when the restrictions around the high school are looked at, that might be a time to include that as well and do that all at one point.
That is correct. This does not include anything over by the high school at this point. I'm planning to bring that to the next Public Works meeting at the end of the month. And again, if the chamber has anything, I would bring it at that same time.
Great.
Super. Alderperson Resniak.
Jason, take a look at item 3. I think I found a little glitch there. It says parking is limited to 90 minutes hour at the following places. 90 minutes hour. That doesn't make sense.
That
Item
was
3.
pointed out previously.
Was
That's
it?
just a little error in the way it was written.
Yeah, we'll
So
make
what's
sure
it
that
supposed to
gets
say?
corrected.
What is it supposed to say?
I'm just trying to
90-minute
find where it
parking.
is. I think it's just 90 minutes. It should just be 90-minute parking.
90 minute.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
so that hour shouldn't be in there at all.
Yep.
Okay. How come Public Works didn't catch that?
We did.
You
I think
did?
they did. I just didn't send the updated version here to the
All
council.
right, no problem. You know, I'm on vacation. I got a lot of time to read.
Okay, this is a first reading. We would look for a motion either
So-
to move it to a second reading or move to suspend the rules for immediate
I'll move
consideration.
to suspend.
Okay, Rachel to
second that.
suspend, Joe Phillips second to suspend the rules for immediate consideration. For suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay.
Move
and
to
then
approve.
we would have a motion by Rachel to approve. We're going to look for a second. Kyle, we're going to let you raise your hand because you're not doing anything else. So, there we go. Kyle for second. But no, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. We do not have a city administrator's report, so the last thing would be adjournment, and I hope to see you
Move
all.
to adjourn.
For adjournment, we have Rachel and Jeff. Hope to see you all in person. We'll have masks and everybody spread out and the dais spread so we can maintain our distance, so we can get back to live meetings in our wonderful city council chamber 2 weeks from now. For adjournment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks. We are adjourned.